must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Fellow Africans, every time we are challenged on matters of importance, there is always a path for redemption. The only thing that Kenya needs at the moment is redemption. It's a redemption strategy that can create a coexistence of all the people, all the tribes, all regions, and all shades of opinions. Challenges come at an hour where a country is on a test. Test runs are always the most crucial points. That's where experiments collapse. Kenya is not an experiment. Kenya is a nation that has existed for 56 years. The challenges, therefore, should not make us hate each other. These challenges should unite us, should unite the people of Kenya to push forward an agenda, to follow their president, President Uhuru Kenyatta, in delivering the agenda for a better Kenya. A better Kenya will produce a better East Africa. A better East Africa will produce a better Africa. The challenges, the obstacles that come amongst us are many, but we can overcome them through discussion, a wider range of discussion, wider disagreements to agree and disagree, to agree again and disagree to disagree. But we should not form clubs, units, militias, hatred of that nature that can take us to the history. Germany today is Germany because it doesn't want to go to the path of the history. Germany goes to the path of development. Over 70 years ago, Germany was at war with the entire world. Today, it is on the path of resolving some of the problems that come. I want us to stand in the place of Germany and look forward and backwards. See what we can do here, but not yearn for what is in Rome. What is in Rome is safeguarded, but in Sicily, which is Kenya, we need to build a foundation for the younger generation that we are going to live here today. The many who have no employment, the poverty, the ignorance, the diseases that kill the people of Africa. We need to find a modium of operation. Modus operandi. The only modus operandi on this is a united, peaceful Kenya. A Kenya united by values of respect and adherence to the rule of law. A Kenya without schemes of elimination or fiction of elimination or murders written by themselves. A Kenya without any hatred against the president, A Kenya that supports the constitutional roots that the 2010 constitution of yours brought. That is how Africa will rise and shine again. Thank you. Punchline Africa TV opposes any form of terrorism, and our policy is very clear. We condemn Al-Shabaab, we condemn Boko Haram, we condemn Al-Qaeda, we condemn any remnants of Al-Qaeda cells that linger on this African continent, that maim people, innocent people. All these acts are not done by a particular religion. People have just picked a religion and used it. In Kenya, in East Africa, and in Africa, we should be vigilant. That is, now we don't know. You can be very, well equipped at your doorstep or at your gate, but you don't know. Up in the crowd when we are moving in town, in cities, in Dar es Salaam, in Mwanza, in Kampala, in Kigali, in Johannesburg, these people have come closer to our cities. In Nairobi, you might be moving and somebody just starts stabbing you. I think they have changed these tactics. So we must be vigilant ourselves as citizens of these countries in Africa. Together we shall one day wipe out all forms of terrorism that have actually widened the gaps or the gulf between the people, the religions, and the type of hatred that is coming out is not very, very good.
And we are looking at the BBI. Is it time to just go and vote on it, or is there room for more changes, as we saw yesterday after the Deputy President, Dr. William Ruto, met with a section of politicians who are allied to him, and they came out with a raft of demands that they want met as a precondition for them supporting the BBI process. So let's just go back and see which are some of these demands that the DP and his allies are seeking to as their precondition, so that the BBI team are able to have this and also for them to come out and support this process. And one of the key things there that they highlighted, they want the IEBC. They're saying IEBC should vary 70 additional constituencies by up to 20%. And also restore 47 women representatives elected to National Assembly. And the other demand was hold referendum along with general election in 2022. And then the next one, the last one, is have a multiple choice referendum as opposed to a single question plebiscite. And during that speech yesterday, the DP said there is nobody who will resist what is right. The people on the other side are reasonable people. They are intelligent. That is the way they took suggestions of the other people after the bombers, even after they said the document would not be changed. And so joining me this morning for this conversation is Daniel Wesonga from Nairobi. Daniel, good morning.
Very good morning, Miriam Ogutu at our headquarters in Nairobi. Good morning to my good friend Douglas Kirimi Bundi and our viewers here in Kenya, Africa, and the rest of the world. Morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever they are watching us from.
All right, Douglas Kirimi from Meru, good morning.
Good morning, Miriam. Good morning to the crew. Good morning to my friend Sean Wesonga, and good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our viewers across the world, and also to my friends in the UK that are watching.
Right, and of course, our topic for today is the BBI time to vote and not for changes. I don't know what your opinion is. Kindly share with us at the comment section, and I'll read them as we continue with this conversation. So I'd like us to just start on that note, on that speech by the Deputy President yesterday when he said there is nobody who will resist what is right. The people on the other side are reasonable people. They're intelligent. And let me just put a pause there at these things that the DP is asking for. Is he being reasonable in his demands? And I know that you're not here during the earlier conversation, but I'm sure you know what the DP side is asking. And they're saying the other side is reasonable and they're also intelligent, so they will make the right choice. But is he being reasonable in his own demands?
Miriam, when the BBI was moving around the country collecting the views and for that matter, divergent views of Kenyans from all walks of life, from all particular backgrounds, the deputy president and his allies had that ample opportunity to appear before the task force and be able to suggest their recommendation to the BBI task force. However, this was not forthcoming, and I believe in own wisdom, the deputy president perhaps thought that the BBI process would not come to fruition without his endorsement and his support. But as time goes by, things seem to change and things seem to have taken a very successful route. And therefore, the DP Ruto again is finding a way of making a comeback in regards to being part and parcel of the conversation around the BBI report. But I think it's a bit too late. The station has, the train has already left the station, and therefore some of the recommendations that he's making, the terms and conditions that he's putting there for consensus are a bit outrageous and a bit time bad, and therefore it might not be, they may not be able to be considered. Mm-hmm. Because if he would have done this before the collection of signatures, then they would have been incorporated into the BBI report, maybe by virtue of whims of the former prime minister and the president and the task force itself. Because you remember, Miriam, whichever issues that he raised at the bombers of Kenya during the BBI2 launching, they were majority of them were incorporated into the document, and after that, perhaps the proponents of BBI thought that those were all the views that the deputy president and his allies wanted to be incorporated into the BBI report. Mm-hmm. However, as it has been, Miriam, I think the deputy president is being very dishonest. He has employed the art of treachery and double speak, and he has been straddling on the fence for quite some time now. And when I listened to him yesterday, the amount of perfidy and duplicity that he manifested in his conference yesterday with his allies is very mind-boggling. The president and the former prime minister on a referendum, he believes that that particular referendum will have a very, very bigger stakes when it comes to determining who will have an upper hand the 2022 general election. Mm-hmm. And therefore, a humiliating defeat at the ballot for William Ruto will spell a disaster for himself and his camp and all the people who are allied to him. And therefore, he fears such a duel at the ballot prior to the 2022 presidential election. Remember, he has been going around the country endearing the president and the former prime minister to bring it on. So therefore, he fears that if such an early duel happens and God forbid he loses it to the two brothers, it will be an anti-climax for him, and it will really demoralize his generals and lieutenants on the ground. Mm. So to me, I think the deputy president is not genuine. He has not been part of this examination. When people are reading, people are preparing for an exam, he was not being part of it. And therefore, when the exam has approached, he's there giving condition. We should have multiple choice referendum question. We should move it to happen together with the general election. Miriam, for the record, the issue of divisive elections is part and parcel of the pertinent issues that are being sorted by the BBI report. Because without a very well-cleared system, of electoral system rather, we shall not be having a very prudent, clear, free, fair, and credible presidential election in 2022. And therefore, there's a need for us to fix our electoral system before we head to 2022 presidential election. And the only way we can be able to fix the current IEBC as it is constituted is through the BBI, implementing the recommendations in the BBI. Mm-hmm. And therefore, anyone who says we can hold the referendum together with the general election is so much numb to the problems and the tribulations that face our nation each and every electoral year.
Right.
And therefore, just like so many leaders have expressed their discontent and their surprise with which the deputy president is expressing his demands, I think I'm on the same page, and I think these are outrageous demands, and the deputy president should just show the leadership he ought to exude as a leader, and also be principled on this matter. Mm-hmm. And I believe it's not a long time before he'll be able to marshal up and master the forces that will oppose the recommendations in the BBI.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Daniel Wasonga. We are also joined by Javan Karanja. Javan, good morning.
Good morning, Miriam. Good morning to Daniel, and good morning to Douglas, and to our viewers wherever they are watching us from.
Okay.
Good morning.
Very well, and welcome to the show. Now, Douglas, Deputy President saying that he knows the people on the other side are reasonable people and they're intelligent, and so he expects the same way they allowed for some of these changes that he had demanded for. They expect that they will perhaps give in and accommodate some of these issues that he's bringing up. And he's saying he knows they're reasonable people, but can he say the same for himself? Is he being reasonable by some of these demands that he is making?
Miriam, let me start by saying the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya has moved into an hybrid political conman and also a political hypocrite. Why? The reason is, for the last 2 years, the President of the Republic of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta, and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga have been pushing and also trying to come together and also see what we can be able to do for this nation, and also grow our shared prosperity, and also grow our nation, and also transfer the cosmetic peace that we have earned for the last 80 years in this country, or for a few years now, especially from the 2018 handshake, so that we can be able to we can move from cosmetic peace, so that we can also go to an entrenched kind of a coexistence, and there's also cohesion, and also growth that does not care whether you come from Kiago in Meru, whether you come from Mandera, whether you come from Western Kenya or any other part of this country. Anyone can be anything in this country. They can do anything they want to do in this country. And for the last 2 years, instead of doing those things, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya has been sponsoring people in media, people, MPs in parliament, and also people who follow him, and to be able to have a conversation against the BBI process across the nation. And Miriam, you have seen it as a journalist, as a commoner as I am. Sean has seen as a journalist. Javan has seen as a political analyst. Everyone has seen the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, including here in my village. He has come to our church fundraiser, and the only thing he did is give us 1 million, but he made sure that he has been able to make sure that people are separated away from the president and the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, calling them witches, and also people who are drunkards. The Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is not a reasonable human being, and also he is an hybrid political conman who has been calling for a bloated government. He calls for a return of 47 women reps, whereas the BBI is calling for an enhanced status for the women reps. Instead of making them women reps, they want to be made senators. The Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is not serious about the whole thing. The only thing the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya wants to do is to make sure that he has curtailed and also scuttled the whole plan about BBI, Miriam. And I have no kind words for the second in command of this republic. Miriam, the only thing that is keeping Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya in power today, because he is a defiant, he is a Deputy President who has shown contempt for his boss, is the Constitution. And we need to also look at that clause that says that a Deputy President and the President can only be enjoined by the ballot, and also cannot be separated until the next election. We cannot only work with people that we are working with through constitutions. We can work with people that want. The Bible says we cannot work together. Two cannot work together unless they have agreed. Deputy President and his boss disagreed long time ago. We can see what the Deputy President is doing today with the members of parliament, senators, calling for consensus. What did he say at Bomas? He called for more consensus. Now he has come up with another consensus. Miriam, that is a clear indication the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is an hybrid conman, political conman who wants to con even his followers. He has been dilly-dallying from one side to another. Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya needs to man up and also become a man, a true man, a gentleman. If he has to fall, let him fall like a man. Right. Miriam, before you conclude, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya wants Kenyans to vote for 9 clauses in the BBI process instead of a question of yes or no. In developed democracies across the world, Miriam, we have only had a question of yes or no. This multiple shenanigan, multiple voting pattern shenanigan is a plan by the Deputy President and his team to scuttle and be able to stop the BBI process from going forward. And this is a man whose ambition to be president of the Republic of Kenya has been able to stop him from thinking and also caring about this nation. This nation, we don't want another baby Pendo to die. We don't want other people to be maimed because of an election. Miriam, remember, if I decide to run against the Prime Minister Raila Odinga and also Deputy President William Ruto, that is my personal ambition, including my mother is not involved. So Miriam, we cannot be able to have people with their personal ambition above the national interest. There comes a time, as Professor John Saitoti, the former vice president and a minister in this republic, said, there comes a time when the interest of a nation becomes greater than the interest of an individual, Miriam. Right, thank you. I submit, and Kenyans need to be able to salute the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and the president for bringing peace in this country and also for bringing a process where people can be able to have a way, can be able to have a conversation that is able to shape their future. And also, remember, constitutions are living documents. We have had constitutions changed across the world. There have been over 50 amendments in the US. The Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya calls himself a scientist, which he says is a slow scientist. He needs to read history. Okay. We cannot have him keeping us dilly-dallying here. He needs to man up and also come out very clear as a no campaigner so that we can meet at the ballot on 21st of June 2021 and have this thing done, Miriam.
Okay, so Jevon, the Deputy President there is saying a bit of them were considered. In fact, majority of the issues he had raised were considered. And so perhaps some Kenyans would ask, as much as the Deputy President is asking the other side to be reasonable, some Kenyans are wondering, we took our time for the last 2 years. We took our views. We went to the steering committee, we emailed them, we gave our opinion. We had 2 years throughout this process. And so the first BBI report came out last year, I think almost a year now, in November. No, over a year now. In November last year, it was launched and we saw it. And then a couple of things were not needed to be rectified. A lot of things perhaps needed to be captured. And so it was sent back to Kenyans. And we saw the other launch in October where Deputy President also stood and raised his concerns about a couple of issues, and that was okay. That had to do with the expanded executive, the police commission, IEBC, judiciary ombudsman, and a bit of that was addressed. All right. So that was his concern then. So now he comes up and then he tweeted and said, you know what, not too bad, because some of the things that we wanted have been captured. So this is good progress. And then just a couple of hours later, he seems to have backpedaled and now he's coming up with new demands. So as much as he wants to he says the other side, those are people who are reasonable. President Uhuru Kenyatta and his side, they're reasonable. Of course, he has a problem with the Raila side, but he's saying essentially the other people are quite reasonable. But would he say he's being reasonable himself? Keep shifting this goalpost.
Yes, Miriam, I agree with the sentiments of the Deputy President. The Deputy Party Leader of Jubilee Party, William Samoei Ruto, doctor, that the people on the BBI steering committee and the brain behind the BBI are reasonable people. That is something that is true, that is in the limelight, is something that is in public domain, because these people have invited Kenyans to take their proposals for the last 2 years. But when we reached the culmination and the process was the document was ready to be revealed in the public, William Ruto, the Deputy President, came up with a few proposals here and there on areas that he was not quite satisfied with, and clear to the spirit of the handshake and and listening to all Kenyans, some of the views that he had were put into consideration, and that is how the National Police Council proposals was abolished in the document, and that is how we got the IBC to have a panel, not the political parties nominating directly the commissioners, and that's a score for him because those people are reasonable. But Miriam, at this point where we have reached, we have already kick-started, and today is the final day for the submission of signatures, the collection of signatures, and Miriam is quite sure, and we are waiting for the verification from the IBC because the signatures that we have surpassed the 1 million target. Therefore, I feel like the BBI process have taken momentum, and these proposals that he is making now, Miriam, he is even confusing his followers and troops, because when the signature launch was made and some of his proposals were put into consideration, he tweeted and said that now because they have put into consideration what we had reservations with, now it's our time to agree with the document and to move on. And Miriam, now a week later, he is coming to say that he needs to add more proposals. And Miriam, this thing, Miriam, is not genuine. One, Miriam, I told you in the morning that we have a crack in the Tanga itself as a political outfit, and that is why he is making points in a state of confusion, in a state of uncertainty, because within Tanga there are people who are opposed to the BBI, and there are those people who feel like this document is good, this document is progressive, and that is why he is making outrageous a demand and to a point of saying that the referendum should be held on 2022. And I'm left wondering what significance, what change will that make to the people of Kenya? And if we are avoiding the divisions, we are avoiding to go for one-on-one referendum, then when we go for elections, people still divide themselves according to who they support, to who ideologies they are buying. And if we combine these referendum with the elections, then it will bring more divisions than what we are trying to cure at the end of the day. Therefore, I feel like these statements, these proposals, these concerns that the Deputy President has with his team and the civil societies, these are not genuine concerns. These are delay tactics, as Wesonga calls them, and the professor. These are delay tactics to ensure that this document is drilled, Miriam. And when we reach August next year, Miriam, then these people will go back to their train of 2022 politics. And I understand if we cannot have a referendum 1 year to the general election, then we can only have it on the general election day. Therefore, this is the kind of tactic that they are trying to bring so that they confuse this process. Because Miriam, the Deputy President, some members of the church, the civil society, they were not part and parcel of the process. They fought the process even before it was brought into public for scrutiny. Therefore, they don't support the BBI. And Miriam, we cannot allow such group of people to hijack the process when we are almost heading to the designated destination where we BBI, we will have the Tanga or the civil society's kind of amendment proposals. Now we will compare which one is better, which one suits Kenyans more, and Kenyans will have to decide, because we had the Okoa Kenya, we had the Punguza Mizigo, and then still we have the BBI. These are continuous process, and if they feel like they have good ideas that they didn't present to the BBI committee because these ideas were only reserved for them, then let them kickstart their own constitution amendment process, and Kenyans will decide. Because at the end of the day, the sovereign power to decide lies on the hands of Kenyans who also voted the government of the day. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Now, Daniel, also when DP was saying that the other side is reasonable and also they are intelligent, and he's saying that is the way they took suggestions of other people even after Bomas, after they said the document will not be changed. So he said, they had initially said they will not change the document, but they went and they listened to what we said, particularly what DP had to say, and they changed it. They made a bit of accommodation to some of his suggestions there. Do you think perhaps for Kenyans who maybe are in support or even not of this BBI process, and they're sitting there wondering, okay, fine, you're not even in support of this document to start with, and then you made your suggestions, but they were accommodated. So we would say the other side showed some goodwill in terms of being accommodative, because remember, before then, the DP side had gone on an assault, and they were saying the Building Bridges initiative is supposed to be building bridges but not walls. So by them taking a very hardline position of not wanting to make any changes there, then they were not living true to the spirit of the BBI process. So they said, okay, so we will accommodate some of the opinions and the things you want included there in the BBI report. But do you think at this point, Daniel, seeing how things are and how this goal shifting thing is going on the DP side, is it taking advantage of the goodwill and perhaps trying to push his luck a little too far when it comes to this process?
Miriam, one thing the Deputy President and his allies should not mistake kindness for a weakness. And therefore, I would really like to do some allegory to the old dictum where a camel in the desert sought some refuge when it was raining in the herder's camp, in the herder's tent, and it said, "It is raining out here, so just let me put my head only inside to keep myself away from the rains." And the herder allowed it to put its head. Soon before he knew it, the front legs were inside, and before he could know it, the camel was requesting so that he could only shelter his hump and the rest of the half outside. And at the end of it all, it kept on pushing until it was able to expunge the herder from his own tent, and he took the tent for himself. And I think this is the same strategy and scheme that is being employed by the Deputy President. And soon, if we comply and stew to his unreasonable demands, the BBI process will be hijacked, and it will be in the hands of the same people who try to mutilate it, who always launched scathing attacks on the entire process and castigated it at every available opportunity. I think, Miriam, the Deputy President has proven to be an unreliable partner in this. Remember, when we had the last bombers sitting over the BBI process, he brought on board some recommendations, which I've talked about before. And these recommendations, being the reasonable people they are, as he said it, being the gentlemen that they are, the proponents of the BBI report were able to sit back, reflect on whatever issues that the contentious issues that the Deputy President raised, and they were able to be rectified and checked into the document before the commencement of the signature collections. But however, on his side of the bargain, William Ruto has not been able to uphold the spirit of a gentleman, and he has backtracked on it. Instead of supporting the document now that his views were taken into account, instead he has taken it as an advantage to bring on board so many complications, so many, demands and issue ultimatum to the other side. I think in all aspects, Miriam, the Deputy President is being very unreasonable. He's proving to be very unreliable and very unfair to people who are supporting the BBI. And also, in essence, to Kenyans who took their time for the period of 2 years that the BBI task force was moving around the country to submit their views. And remember, no one is a holy cow in this particular process, because every Kenyan is equal before the law. We are governed by our constitution, and we should have a fair chance in whichever expedition that is undertaken, whether by the government or by the political class. And therefore, we had a fair opportunity to present our views for 2 years before the BBI task force. And for William Ruto to come only late, and this one person who has really projected himself as the hallmark of opposition of the BBI process and the agenda, it's very unfair for him to come on board at the 11th hour and really put on the table unrealistic demands and ultimatum to the entire BBI team and the Kenyans at large. Remember, this was a process that was driven by the people of Kenya, and therefore, for him and his few friends to come on the table and really hold hostage of the entire process, I think it's very unrealistic. And the best we can do as the proponent of the BBI agenda is to move ahead. We already have timelines set for the referendum. Let's meet the people at the ballot. At the end of the day, Douglas has said, even in Britain, the most advanced democratic society in the world, in the US, whenever they have a referendum, it's only a matter of deciding whether it's yes or no. And considering Kenya, a population which even a majority of them, as the Deputy President himself says, have not read the BBI report, which what kind of wisdom does he employ in thinking that they will be quite conversant enough to be able to undertake a multiple choices referendum? So to me, I think in order to prevent all these razzmatazz, all this push and pull and getting bogged into unnecessary shadow boxing, we should allow the process to advance into the next stage, which is to allow the people of Kenya who hold the mandate, the voice about their own destiny, to decide the fate of the BBI report on the ballot. And thereafter, if the yes proponents of the BBI report have a say, then we shall be well for this country. We shall head with speed and be able to implement the recommendation in the BBI. If William Ruto, the civil society, and his other allies are able to implode the electorate of Kenya to shoot down the BBI report, so be it. We are a democratic society and we are open for any contest at the ballot. That should be the prisms by which we should describe and punctuate this particular discussion on BBI. Otherwise, leaving it, maybe going after one ultimatum and suggestion after the other, will only derail our time, and at the end of the day, we shall be time back to really pursue this particular agenda. So therefore, I'm of the opinion that we do not give room to more consensus, we do not give room for more ultimatums, but rather we focus on the collection of signatures. Once the signatures are done and we verify them, let us straight away head to the ballot and let the people decide. That is my submission, Miriam.
All right, thank you. And the story is on page 6 and 7 of the Standard newspaper, and says Ruto lays ground for no campaign with new demands. And he continues to say, in what was interpreted as a staggered approach to opposing the proposed constitutional amendments, Deputy President William Ruto and his allies have issued a fresh demand. A week after skipping the launch of collection of signatures of the Building Bridges Initiative report at KICC, Ruto emerged yesterday blowing hot and cold on the provisions of the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, and he pushed for consensus on BBI and called for a multiple choice referendum to coincide with the 2022 general election. And then down there, he's quoted as saying that it is never too late for those who care for this country. We should not be simplistic in this matter. The country belongs to all of us. There is no hurry to have a national referendum. And the other day, remember when he tweeted and he said he is fully supporting his, well, he didn't say fully, but he said he is supporting his boss and is working to support his boss there. Douglas, is he saying President Uhuru Kenyatta's because this is the brainchild of President Uhuru Kenyatta, is he calling his boss simplistic?
Miriam, across the world, across developed democracies, growing democracies, and also young democracies, when they have any constitutional moment or anything that it has to do with the welfare of their people, people will always come out who disagree with what has to come out of the suggested processes. Miriam, in the most simple manner, in a house, when my mother wants to prepare rice and beef, probably I had eaten beef yesterday and I didn't want to eat beef today. So disagree with my mother as long as my mother is the end of that house. My mother will go ahead and cook whatever she cooks. But my decision to alter cooking when it's around 10:45 p.m. and everyone wants to eat and go and sleep is very minimal, and I cannot be able to stop that. Then tell my mother that she can go and prepare matokel for me, or prepare boiled bananas for me and some milk. My mother will not change her mind. She will continue and tell me, my son, tomorrow we can be able to change that. The Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya has not only shown contempt for the President and also the presidency or the people of Kenya, but a section of Kenyans who are opposing this document. I am of the opinion that there are people and there are Kenyans who oppose this report, those who oppose a change in our constitution, and they are saying this constitution is okay. As a Democrat, I only say that we can only have divergent views. And in our diverse views, so is our democracy. In our diverse views, so is our shared prosperity. In our diverse views, so is our growth as a nation. So the Deputy President wants to tell us, the people that he has supported and also funded at night, the likes of David D, Martha Karua, and as a normal who follows him every day, and people like Boniface Mwangi, who are also rooting for the Deputy President. And remember, Boniface Mwangi, I don't know what has turned him now to support the Deputy President in supporting the Rida Katiba movement, because Boniface Mwangi is one person who wanted the people of Langata and the children to protect them from their land being grabbed by the same Deputy President who has become a fake reformer. Because Deputy President has never stood for any reforms, including whose reforms have been steered and also spearheaded by the government that they are in with the President. We have never earned the Deputy President reform anything. And Miriam, calling President simplistic is not only a contempt, and we have to hear what the Deputy President says and what he doesn't say. The Deputy President has not said directly, but that is basically what he is saying. He is saying he's a man of superior thought. He's a man of superior thought than the President, and also showing contempt for the people. There is a People's Revolutionary Council that is led by my friends in the civil society. They are saying this is a no. They are not going to support that document. Is Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya calling those people simplistic also, because these people don't want anything to do with the constitution change. These people are saying the constitution should not be changed. The Deputy President says we should allow for a position that is neither a yes or no. We need to have a consensus and move forward as a nation. What basically the Deputy President is saying, please accommodate me and make me the third principle for this BBI process, because they are Kenyans, including if they are given something else, even if you bribe them with money, they cannot be able to support this process, because that is their view, Miriam, and that is their mind and their way of doing things. And the only way to solve this impasse is not to cause the Deputy President to keep insulting the President, calling him a man of his simplistic ideas and ways. One thing we need to assure the Deputy President is that if he goes to the no camp, there is no Kenyan who will be able to judge him wrongly, Miriam. Remember, this Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya has been opposing this thing, and for the last 2 years, he has garnered a lot of majority who support him. Remember, for the last 2 years, he didn't even think about Kenya. He was saying BBI is a no. We need the wheelbarrows, we need the folk jebes, we need the pangas to be able to empower Kenyans. And remember, Miriam, a 21st graduate or also a youth like myself, trying to give me a wheelbarrow to empower me and also lift my standard of living. That is the hypocrisy of the highest order. So one thing I feel, and also that represents my view on Deputy President, is that the Deputy President does not only show contempt to President of the Republic of Kenya, President Uhuru Kenyatta, he is showing contempt to the people of Kenya. People of Kenya who hold divergent opinions like him. The Deputy President should stop being a dictator and mooring people and mopping people into one basket, calling for a consensus that Kenyans don't want. There are people who don't want consensus on BBI. There are Kenyans whose their mothers and brothers who wake up in the morning and vote for BBI, like myself, or Sean, or someone else, or Java. But now they also get a section of Kenyans that the Deputy President wants to tell us they are going to be forced to sign yes for BBI with a consensus. Miriam, by all intent and purposes, this is where we call out what Deputy President is: an hybrid conman, an hybrid political conman, and an hybrid hypocritical political figure in this country. Because Miriam, the likes of Martha Karua, respected constitutional lawyer, David Day, economist David Day, who are also his friends at night. These people, he is telling us, these people, all of them we should have a consensus as a nation and mob everyone, including my friend John Wamagata of the People's Revolutionary Council. They should move into one basket and vote for yes with a consensus. And John Wamagata said no to BBI. He's my friend. He will never change his mind. Even if a bullet is put on his head, including when Deputy President visits him in his home in Kiambu, you never vote for BBI. But why is Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya doing all these things? These are
brand things that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, including those demands of multiple choice and all that. Multiple choice, we are done with that in Standard 3, Mr. Scientist. Thank you.
Okay, multiple choice. I think class 8 there, but all right. So the standard, Jevan, they're how they are describing this move, or what we saw yesterday that there during the press conference and the meeting the Deputy President had with MPs and the politicians allied to him. They're saying in what was interpreted as a staggered approach to opposing the proposed constitutional amendment. So they're saying they're just staggering the opposition of this proposed constitutional amendments. So they're giving so many things that they want to be changed. They have been since the start of this process. So in other words, according to the standard, they just want to say we're going to vote no, but they're just using too many words to just say no. Why can't they just come out and say, you know what, we don't agree with this process and we don't want it? Why do they have to take us in rounds and rounds and rounds when we know perhaps Kenyans are wondering what are their intention, at this point?
One, Miriam, that is a very good question. And the one thing that we know is that these people have never supported the BBI process. And that is why they see it fit to keep on staggering, to keep on taking Kenyans rounds and rounds, because they didn't support the process. And now, the reason why they are doing this is because they are stuck. They don't know where to go. They have reached to a point politically where going back, going forward is proving difficult. And when you are in that state, you start making noises so that at least somebody will help you, somebody will hear your cry and they come for your rescue. And that is exactly what is happening with this team. And number two is their political interest. Because, Miriam, all these issues, they must put to consideration their political interest. And as I was telling you, there are some members of parliament from central Kenya who feel like if this BBI will sail through, then they will have a difficult time proving to the people why they opposed the document that was fit to benefit them in terms of agriculture, in terms of empowering women, in terms of empowering the devolution. Therefore, they find them in a crossroad because at the end of the day, they want to be loyal to their leader, and that is the Deputy President, a man who they have supported for a long time. And now they are wondering, if we start singing the Yes campaign, what will we tell our people have changed? You know, Miriam, these are self-inflicted wounds, self-inflicted confusions, and you put yourself into a dilemma with thinking that you are doing it for your own benefit. Let alone you realize that you are putting yourself in a more difficult situation. Because if these people, they did come with this hustler narrative, if these people are not fighting the BBI document, they could not be on the state they are today of confusion. And that is the reason why they must continue calling for consensus, so that they take that neutral ground, they take a middle ground, so that nobody will try to accuse them if the BBI goes through or it does not go through. Because at the end of the day, these are like a sword that cuts across. Because when this BBI goes through, and maybe, for example, you are a member of parliament, and it goes through, and the opponent, the person who was selling the BBI, comes to vie on the same constituency with you, then you'll have a difficult time. And if it fails, and then they will have a political stability or a political position to stand on, and that is what they are looking for. Therefore, the reason why they are doing this is their political interest, is to preserve their loyalty to the Deputy President, because unless the Deputy President comes clear and declares his stand for the BBI and says, I support it, then these people will keep on going around saying the BBI is good. Now, there are these people who sit at them. You know, the Deputy President, apart from those people who are terming him the recent time political watermelon, he has come up with a very good slogan called win-win. You know, this win-win, Miriam, is a situation where you are not heading anywhere. You are not providing solution. You take a middle ground. And that is an agenda that the Tanga Tanga team, and they have incorporated some few church leaders and civil society to have that notion of a win-win situation. They don't want for a referendum. They want these views to be included. Then they say they want the referendum to be held in 2022. Miriam, the purpose of the BBI And maybe this is why Kenyans are not getting it. It was not about an individual. You know, now it is like the BBI is about the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga and William Ruto. Because when we say that William Ruto is calling for consensus, he is calling for consensus for whom? It's him who is consenting, not everybody else. Because we have genuine Kenyans who are opposing the document. We have genuine Kenyans who are supporting the document without the influence of their political figures that they follow. Therefore, they cannot call for consensus that will include all Kenyans. No, we have Kenyans who will oppose the document, and they also need to be given a chance. And that chance will come only when they vote and say, yes, we have a silent majority that is not talking about the BBI, but they are reading, they are not making their voice heard. They are waiting for the day the ballot will be brought, and they will show Kenyans where they stand. Therefore, let's go for this referendum, and let's go for this BBI process, because nobody is being forced, Miriam, to support the BBI. Nobody is being forced not to support the BBI. And I don't know why they are worried so much of their own political interests, rather than being worried of what Kenyans will look like after BBI or after 2022, because Kenyans will stand, but these politicians, some of them will not be even re-elected. Therefore, Kenya will stand, and as the president says, we'll have a 10th president, a 20th president, even in the 100th president of this country. Therefore, Kenya will remain, and this constitution, Miriam, is not a rigid document. We are in 2020. We may pass the BBI process, and we bring those changes in the constitution. Maybe in 2025, Kenyans will feel like this document is not working for us. And because it's a dynamic document, Kenyans will go and change and have their say all their way. That is the kind of democratic space that we subscribe to, where Kenyans, where the citizens are given an opportunity to say, to do, to change what they want and what they feel will work for them. Therefore, Kenyans will decide. And if they feel like this document is not good enough, why they let them go and oppose? Because at the end of the day, Kenyans will be the one who will decide the fate of their country. And Miriam, if you looked keenly on the body language of the deputy president yesterday, these guys were confused. These guys, they don't know. They are at the point of uncertainty. They don't know where they are heading to, because they have breached many bridges. They have breached political bridges in the name of hazorism, in the name of accusing others, in the name of incitement. They don't know where to run into. You see now the politicians who sometimes seem to be uncertain, the likes of Musalia Mudavadi, they are people who are coming black and white. They are saying, this is where we are, this is what we do. The likes of Kalonzo Musyoka, Alfred Mutua. Therefore, these are leaders who have a same. But because of these raw ambitions, being of ambitious, that is why the team of Tanga Tanga can't have a concrete or a founded basis to oppose the BBI or to support the BBI.
Okay. Thank you, Jevan. Now, the DP praised and condemned the provincials in equal measure, while saying a referendum was not a priority. So on that, at least, he's been quite consistent. He's been saying it's not a priority. Even yesterday, he came out and said a referendum right now is not a priority. The team noted that more attention should be directed to address runaway corruption, political intolerance, impunity, and disobedience of court orders by the executive. Daniel, wanasema people have been disobeying court orders. That is more urgent right now, especially the executive. And also, can we address the runaway corruption first, and the political intolerance and impunity and all of that first, before we even talk about the BBI?
Miriam, I believe William Ruto, and I'll say it in very blunt words, is the sanctuary of evil, impunity, corruption, and all kinds of clandestine dealings in this country. And that has been characterized by the people who are always around him. Look at his allies. Rigathi Gachagua is being accused of money laundering and swindling public offers into tunes of billions of shillings. Look at John Waluke. He was in jail for siphoning money which was meant to buy maize for starving Kenyans back in 2009. Look at Moses Kuria. He has been accused of stealing and emptying the coffers of CDF in Kiambu, in Gatundu South constituency. Look at people like the former aspirant for Embakasi East. Francis Mreithi, who was a close ally of the deputy president. He was accused of defrauding a foreign man of a tune of over 300 million. Look at the people who are campaigning for Deputy President Kisii, the likes of Janda and the likes of John Bosco Gechana. These are known conmen, these are known swindlers, they are known people who deal in money laundering and all kinds of dark and black money enterprises. So therefore, if William Ruto talks about corruption, then he should not look further. Let him look behind him and look himself in the mirror, and he shall be able to know where the problem of corruption is in this country. Mm-hmm. Talk about disobeying court orders. The same Tangatanga MPs just recently in Ndindi Nyoro, they were summoned to appear before the police. They did not obey the law. They did not show up when they caused the chaos in Kenol and Murang'a. That time, Aisha Juma, he ran away from being arrested for causing a death of a man during the by-election in Uganda. So to me, Miriam, I think William Ruto is being hypocritical. And when he talks about even fixing the economy, it is his own cronies who have looted these economies to its knees. And history does not forget that monies of over 21 billion shillings were lost in Kimorera and Royal Gram scandals, where William Ruto's allies, Kipchumba Murkomen, Farouk Kibet, who is his personal assistant, were implicated in the scandal. And a lot of things and monies were projected to have gone to enter properties which are owned by William Ruto. Where were the towels, were the bed sheets which were procured in that particular scandal going to be used? And some of them were traced back to Hotel Dolphin and some other hotels in Nairobi, which are closely related to William Samoei Ruto. So to me, Miriam, I think he's being dishonest. He's using it as this kind of a narrative as the last straws to hold on to in order to be able to derail the BBI agenda. But he should be able to know that in the BBI recommendations for fighting corruption, ensuring that we have prudence and integrity in leadership, and also strengthening the judiciary is not only encompassed in mere words, but we have a structure and we have austerity measures that will ensure that our economy thrives devoid of corruption, devoid of swindlers and all other corrupt cartels that have been bedeviling service delivery and implementation of projects in this country. So therefore, it's only in the BBI that we do have a very competent and a very well choreographed structures that will see this country picking a very well structured projection when it comes to fighting corruption, when it comes to strengthening the judiciary, when it comes to ensuring that at the end of the day, monies which are allocated to various development and infrastructural projects benefit the common man from the top up to the bottom in the grassroots. So to me, I think William Ruto should shun away from this kind of bravados and the kind of propaganda they're trying to throw at the BBI agenda. All in all, Miriam. That is my take on that, and I believe he's not being genuine, and that is just a political narrative aimed at persuading the public into his own selfish agenda.
Okay. Douglas, just on the same, they're saying there are other issues that are quite pertinent and urgent to Kenyans, and there's no urgency there for the BBI. And the DP there said that a referendum right now was not a priority. Instead, President Kenyatta should, turn his attention to address the runaway corruption in the country, political intolerance, impunity, and disobedience of court orders by the executive. He says that is what is important for Kenyans there.
Did William Ruto say corruption is what is important to Kenyans as of now?
The fight against it, yes.
But like I said, Miriam, without mincing my words.
Why are you shocked that they're saying that?
No, I almost corrupt because Miriam, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, has been netted and also associated with every corruption scandal that has rocked Jubilee administration. Of course, there have been people from both sides, but all disappointment Ministers have been accused. Kenya Power today, if I have 50 bob today or 100 shillings, that is $1, I cannot access power that can sustain me for about 1 day or 3 days, because Kenya Power has been rooted by people that have been put there strategically to root and also get money for the deputy president. Because these things are written in newspapers, Miriam. The other day, we discussed about the CS, the former CS, Henry Rotich, who said he was a sacrificial lamb. And the CS could not mention names, because I think his life is in danger now. For over 5 years, he was a minister. For over 6 years, he was a minister that presided over corruption, kickbacks, and every manner of things that have occurred in government. And Miriam, people who have been appointed at the Kenya pipeline, people who have been appointed in every place that William Ruto as an candidate, people have landed in trouble. Miriam, corruption, the fight against corruption is one thing that the BBI encompasses, and also the BBI process says judiciary shall no longer have an hand over prolonging these cases. These cases can be, we want to entrench it in the constitution in such a way that in 2 years' time, if Douglas Mundi Kiremi today steals public money, can be able to go to jail and return the money, and the assets are taken by the state. But William Ruto and his allies, who are also very corrupt individuals, cannot encompass a situation where they can be jailed within 2 years. Remember, in his entourage, like Sean Wesonga said, that there are people who have caused deaths of people, like the member for Marindi, Aisha Jumwa, is battling Amanda case in court. There are people who are battling serious economic crimes, and they are pouring him everywhere. There are people who have rooted dry coffers of civil society. Civil society agreed to a house because monies have been swindled by people who keep pouring the deputy president. There is no one that is clean. But before William Ruto talks about the fight against corruption, this is a national emergency that we need to tackle and entrench it in the constitution, so that his allies can go to prison, so that his allies can go to court and mention him, so that he can also face charges, because Kenyans are tired of him stealing through proxies, and also we are tired of our people that don't want accountability to be entrenched in our system. Miriam, if today I get a son and a daughter, I can be able to get them into a system in a country that has values, where they know when they steal public resources, they can go to prison. But my generation knows today, if they steal under the hand of William Ruto today, they will be protected. The courts will be corrupted. But BBI encompasses and also places a situation where we can be able to prosecute these cases within 2 years. Miriam, within 2 years, all the corrupt people should be jailed and their assets taken by the state and everything returned to normal. These people are running from that. The forms of declaration of wealth. There are people we know who are appointed as directors of some state parastatals, and I'm very happy the government is downsizing those parastatals, because there are so many idle directors there. We need to be able to take that money and go and improve our health care. The money that we pay directors in their hundreds of thousands, we can take that money to free primary education. We can take that money to be able to grow the economy of our rural folks. Remember, Miriam, the same people who are saying BBI is not an emergency now, a BBI can wait. We agree with them. BBI can wait because they want to camouflage and also keep delaying this process that encompasses a situation where they are going to be stopped from stealing. Drug dealers are not going to run for public office again, because Integrity Act is being amended. And also, Miriam, remember, the same people that are delaying around are people who are supposed to be in prison and not to hold any public office and not to lecture us in matters constitutional change. Remember, Miriam, this law is not made for one man. This is law for all of us. The law that is being amended is for all of us. When the people of Kimwarel and Arol lost over 21 billion in the scandal that took their dams away, the people of Kimwarel today should be rich people who are farming using water funded by government and their taxes. But the people of Kimwarel, together with the people of Meru and the rest of the country, are paying for those dams which are in the pockets of people. And as the DCI were doing investigations, Miriam, they found out that these people and bought towels for hotels and also ran and all manner of things. Vehicles were traced to have been used, bought using the proceeds of crime. So, Miriam,
Everything that they are talking about is not an emergency. This is the right emergency. This is the time we pass BBI so that we can be able to deal with the pertinent issues in this country. We don't want to go to any country and people talk, are you coming from Kenya, which is number 166 in corruption index? Kenya is one of the most corrupt, I think,
No,
we're
actually more corrupt than 166 out of 183. I think we are at we are more. So we are.
Yes, Miriam.
We are doing worse than that, I think, from the last.
We don't want the issues that William Ruto is talking about. He has camouflaged this and also mentioned the fight against corruption, because he knows when he mentions the fight against corruption plus other issues, those other issues are shenanigans. The Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya is not genuine, and his concerns are not genuine, Miriam. And I don't understand what happens to Kenyans, especially intellectuals and also people who are educated, when politics are mentioned. Kenyans lose their sense. Kenyans lose their sense of thinking and also lose their sense of belonging, Miriam, because they can see through their eyes. They can see the eye of a deputy president, the one that Sean mentioned now, to over 300 million. And the same man is following deputy president talking about the fight against corruption. Seriously? The CS for Agriculture, Mwangi Kionjuri, was accused by President Uhuru Kenyatta for eating money, squandering money that was meant to pay farmers, Miriam. And these are the same people who would order maize from Congo. We know who owns a maize farm in Congo, and also pay for outside maize when maize is rotting in US and Gishu County, where he comes from. CS Rotich, who is also a Kalenjin, they stole money for Kimwarel, his own village. These people, Miriam, don't care about this country, and we are praying that the BBI referendum comes so that we can vote for it, and so that we can be able to send them to prison before 2022, before they mess this country, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And also in their 12-page resolutions, they said BBI proposals do not meet the publicly declared objectives of the handshake of uniting Kenyans and ensuring that elections will not be violent, and instead were a major clawback on the gains of the 2010 constitution there. But also the resolution acknowledged that the deepening financial quagmire has led to the destruction of livelihoods, businesses, and loss of jobs and shrinkage of revenues. And so they're quoted as saying, additionally, we are haunted by the reality that we are yet to create confidence in our education system's ability to make schools safe enough for our children to resume school, because the myriad of challenges facing the entire school system remain largely unaddressed. So they're saying, among other things, these are also things that are a priority and the government should be addressing. And so that's why they feel the BBI is not a priority right now, Jevon.
Yeah, thank you, Miriam. And that on the first issue that you are talking of, the deputy president and his team saying that corruption and
corruption, he said President Kenyatta should direct his efforts in addressing the runaway corruption, political intolerance, impunity, and disobedience of court orders by the executive. Is he not part of the executive?
I was looking for that part of order of respecting court orders. Is he talking of? Are they talking of respecting court orders because Dr. Miguna is supporting them now? I think that is the case, because when Mr. Miguna was on the ODM side, the same people who are in Tangatanga today, they were celebrating that he is being chased out of this country. But maybe that is the reference that they are taking that thing of respecting court orders from. But on the issue of corruption, Miriam, corruption cuts across. Corruption is a two-sided sword that cuts across. We cannot say that because you are Tangatanga, you are corrupt. We have corruption in ODM. We have corruption in Jubilee Party. Therefore, nobody is a saint when it comes to matter corruption because it cuts across. But Miriam, we have seen, and if he says that the fight against corruption is urgent, we saw it when the president was calling for the lifestyle audit. His people and his counterparts from the Tangatanga wing, those were the people who worked hard to make sure that a lifestyle audit proposal by the president didn't see the light of the day. When the president was talking of a public servant declaring how much wealth they have, the same people in Tangatanga were the same on the front line of saying that that is a way of subjecting their people into corruption allegations. forcibly and accusing them so that they do not run for higher offices. Miriam, we have seen CS Rotich, we have seen Mwangi Kunjuri, we have seen other CSs who are now working with the deputy president accused of mega corruption scandals in this country. Miriam, when we had the corruption of the NYS one, which involved the former, the incumbent governor of Kirinyaga County, Anne Waiguru, the deputy president and then majority leader in the parliament, Aden Duale, were the first one to support her, and they started calling the former prime minister names. But when the things changed, then they started saying that truly there was corruption in the NYS. Therefore, this corruption is in this country. It is all over. And if it is urgent, then BBI is addressing it as a matter of emergency need. Because in the BBI, we have a crowd that talks of the BBI and how it will be sorted out. And they need to read this document and understand that the issue of the BBI is well addressed in the BBI document. And when they talk of the respecting court orders, now where can they run to now? They don't have an office where they can run to. But in the BBI, we have an independent judicial ombudsman who will help them. In the case now they are saying the government is not respecting court orders, they could have gone to the office of the judiciary ombudsman and he could have helped them to sort out these issues. Therefore, the BBI is giving solutions to what they are calling urgent at this moment. Therefore, BBI is more urgent on the issues that they have in matters of giving solutions and a mechanism to ensure that things.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you, Javen. And now, as we conclude, Daniel, with all things being considered, is it time perhaps for the BBI team to accommodate more changes, or Kenyans should just go ahead and prepare for a vote?
Miriam, at this juncture in time, I think as a country now, we have everything set. The system are all running. And of course, currently ongoing the collection of signatures. And as it is right now, from the communication we got from the two steering members of that particular expedition, that is Junet Mohammed and David Waweru, is that we are right now at 4 million signatures. That tells you that the train is at the point of no return, and therefore we have to fix our eyes on the goal. And therefore, for the BBI report, whatever we are waiting for is the conclusion of the collection of signatures, and soon enough, the verification is done. And after that, we head straight to the voting, that is the referendum. So therefore, there's no time for consensus, there's no time for fixing or maybe tweaking that document and maybe interfering with it. Because you have to take into account that the 4 million Kenyans who have appended their signatures to that BBI document, they have appended so in a very sane, cognizant thought that whatever that is in that BBI report is what they want. And they will not, we will not want to, at any particular point, maybe perhaps subvert the will of those particular 4 million Kenyans who have already appended their signatures, or even more. We anticipate maybe perhaps from the projection that the team gave that they shall be able to collect rather over 6 million or 7 million signatures. So though that is a very large number, Miriam, of individuals who have given the process a green light to go ahead, and therefore it cannot be subverted by a few politicians who call for a press conference in Karen to be able to show their disgruntlement with the entire process. So for me, I think from where I sit, for BBI, the train has already left the station, and we have to proceed to the next phase of the process, which is to verify the signatures and thereafter structure a referendum, which will take place in mid next year. Mm-hmm. That is my parting note on that.
Thank you. And Tankoi Adam, thank you so much for writing to
Miriam.
us. I'm coming to you. You're next. And Tankoi is saying, take the money to be used in BBI and pay all schools so that Kenya would be deprived from poverty. While you respond to what our viewer there is saying, is it time to accommodate more changes, or should Kenyans now just be allowed to complete the process and go to the referendum and vote? Douglas, as you make your final conclusion.
My also small rejoinder was when the BP said the government should obey court orders and all that. We cannot only deal with the government that he is part of, and also
he is speaking from a podium that is sponsored by the same government that says doesn't obey court orders, and also host people using government resources that should have used to educate children, and also that money should have been put into COVID mitigation campaign. And also, Deputy President William Ruto should obey court orders as an individual. He has people who are demanding money from his companies, like Amaco Insurance. We have seen Amaco Insurance has been declared redundant by court, and it is called for liquidation. And also there are people who use money. He needs to go and pay all those people. He needs to go and obey court orders instead of moving around subverting justice for all that. He needs to obey court orders himself before he speaks from the other side of his mouth. And also the people that follow Deputy President, instead of running to court getting more orders, obey the court orders that have said that you have conned people, you have stolen from people, all those people that keep following Deputy President before he makes those statements and also makes a fool of himself. He needs to obey court orders. And also, there can be no room for changes again, because Miriam, we have seen this is a clear process of violation of the rights of Kenyans to be able to agree on the way they shall go. From where Deputy President William Ruto should be a man and go ahead and oppose or come to the yes camp and lose a big chunk of his people, of his followers. If he wants to remain mum, he can remain mum or move forward. But this point, there is no neutrality in politics. There is no place called neutral. There is no place called consensus in politics. You are either here or there. One thing the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya needs to do is to decide on the way that he shall go. That we, the people of Kenya, have decided in their millions that we are going the way of referendum. If the Deputy President and his proxies and cronies think that their way to go is a no campaign, he needs to decide on the way that he shall go. And he has been saying, people are being forced to say, there are some quotas who are forcing people into a no and a yes camp. Deputy President is trying to create a scenario where he forces every Kenyan to support the BBI report. I have submitted people from the People's Revolutionary Council that is led by Umar Nazil and also John Wamagata, who are my friends. They cannot be able to support this document under coercion from the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. His dictatorial tendencies are coming to an end. We thank God that this thing is coming to an end very soon, so that we can go on this referendum and vote, and also send him home in 2022. And Kenya moves forward, Miriam, because in politics, competition is not for one day. We can compete another day on the basis of our views, on the basis of our support. And Deputy President William Ruto cannot be able to achieve the kind of consensus that he's calling for, including in the USA, including in Britain, including in Germany, in Russia, in President Putin is raw himself, but he gives people a chance to express themselves. And people woke up and said, we are voting against your sweeping presidential powers bill. And they voted against him. And he didn't kill anyone, and there's no one that left Russia because they voted against that. So Miriam, in my submission, there can be no room for more changes. We have been doing this process for over 2 years now. We need to change what we can change. Even in 2010, as he was opposing, the last day of his no campaign, he was saying the only way to bring these people for a consensus on the table is to vote no on the date that we have scheduled for that. And when he voted no, his views and the 43% of the people of the population of the Republic of Kenya, their views remained as that. So Miriam, even on this one, the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya needs to come out very clearly, and also not to fashion himself as a reformer, because he is a fake reformer, and also an hybrid political conman who has been conning even his own followers. I thought he would be so lenient to them, he cannot con them, but he has conned them of their right to express themselves, and also fooled them that he is a reformer and he is going to take them anywhere. So Miriam, in my humble submission, as I conclude, the Deputy President should take a position and decide on the way that he shall go. I submit and thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. I don't know if Russia and Putin will be the right example here, because I hear a lot of news from that, even that vote they had there. All right, but Jevon, your last thoughts. Should Kenyans now be allowed to just go ahead and vote, or should there be room for more consensus and accommodation of more views, divergent views, to be allowed at this point?
Miriam, thank you very much. And for that, I agree that Kenyans should be given a chance to decide on their fate. Let's not lie these things to the politicians. although the process of the BBI was kickstarted by politicians, they have given us a chance to take our proposals. They give us a chance for the validation process. Therefore, we are part and parcel of the process. Therefore, we should be given also that time to validate, to vindicate that what is there is what really matters to us as we go for the voting. And number two, this consensus that we are calling for, it is called for to cater for an individual or few individuals' interests. Therefore, that is uncalled for, because at the end of the day, this country is bigger than the president of the day, is bigger than the former prime minister, is bigger than the deputy president, it's bigger than all of us. Kenya will be there when we will be long gone, but Kenya will remain. Therefore, we must make this country better, and we can make it better by having a constitution that works for its people, not a constitution that suits few individuals, not a constitution that suits the judiciary or the executive or the legislative arm of the government, but a constitution that will make this country well governed, where rule of law will be upheld, where the fight against corruption will be materialized, where everybody will be proud to belong to this country. That is the country that we want. Therefore, let's go. And if Miriam, you have seen the signs, they have given us the signals. They are not for the consensus, they are for the 2022 general election, because we have the first consensus, now they are calling for the second consensus, the third and the fourth. Therefore, these people are not genuine and they are not for the BBI. Let's meet at the ballot. That is where the ultimate results will come out, and Kenyans will know the fate, whether the BBI will go for implementation or the president or the former prime minister will go back to the drawing board. Because Kenya is all of us all, and nobody has superior views than any other Kenyan. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Douglas. Thank you, Daniel, and also thank you, Javan there. So during yesterday's meeting, according to the standard here, a piece of just what they wrote here according to that meeting that DP had with his allies yesterday. Early in the meeting, the leaders were divided, with one camp calling for a no campaign, another took a wait-and-see stance, and yet a third group preferred to be indifferent on the matter and instead continue with the Hustler Empowerment Project. So until we see some clarity from this camp, I guess the circus will still continue. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Miriam Ogutu. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.